Welcome back to the channel where we explore some of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence. Today, we're diving into a coin that might not immediately stand out, but it has captured the attention of collectors and investors alike, the United States Washington quarter from 1996. While the quarter is a staple in everyday transactions, this particular year holds something special. Stick around because, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin could be worth a lot more than you think. Let's start by taking a look at the 1996 Washington quarter from a historical perspective. This coin, which features George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse, is part of the series that has been in circulation since 1932. However, what sets the 1996 Washington quarter apart from its predecessors is the subtle changes in design and the fact that it was part of a milestone in U.S. coinage history. In 1996, the U.S. Mint continued to produce quarters with the same design introduced back in the early 1930s. But, more interestingly, the year marked the final release of the 50 States Quarters program. The program began in 1999, but in 1996, the Mint was preparing for this monumental series that would feature unique designs for each of the 50 states. The 1996 Washington quarter, therefore, represents the final year of the standard Washington design, making it an important piece for collectors who follow the history of U.S. coinage. As you may know, the Washington quarter itself is one of the most iconic U.S. coins, and it's widely collected for both its historical significance and its connection to the first President of the United States, George Washington. On the obverse, you'll find a portrait of Washington, which was created by artist John Flanagan in 1932. The reverse of the coin, featuring the majestic eagle, has undergone very few changes since the coin's initial release, but it's still revered as one of the classic designs in American numismatics. Now, let's talk about why the 1996 Washington quarter is worth looking into for collectors. If you're simply holding on to quarters for their face value, you might want to reconsider. While most 1996 Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents in circulation, there are some important factors that could cause the value to skyrocket, especially when you're talking about uncirculated coins or those with rare minting errors. The key factor in determining the value of a 1996 Washington quarter is its condition. If your coin has been in circulation for years, chances are it has some wear and tear. Scratches, discoloration, and general signs of use can all decrease the coin's value. However, a 1996 Washington quarter that is still in mint condition, untouched by time and wear, can fetch a much higher price. Coins in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition are the most valuable to collectors because they are rare and hard to find, but there's more. Another thing that could make the 1996 Washington quarter stand out is its mint mark. In 1996, quarters were minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark on a coin tells you where it was struck, and collectors often pay close attention to these small details. A 1996 quarter without a mint mark was minted in Philadelphia, while those with a D mint mark came from Denver. But here's where things get even more interesting. There were also proof coins minted in San Francisco, which have a higher quality strike and are much rarer. The proof versions of the 1996 Washington quarter are made for collectors and are not intended for circulation. These coins are often produced in limited quantities, and their production process ensures they have a higher level of detail and a shiny, mirror-like finish. If you happen to have a 1996 Washington quarter from the San Francisco Mint, particularly one that's still in pristine condition, you might be holding on to a real treasure. Additionally, some 1996 quarters have been found with minting errors, an added bonus for collectors who love finding rare, one-of-a-kind coins. These errors could range from double strikes, off-center coins, or even incorrect engravings. Minting errors are incredibly valuable in the world of coin collecting because they make a coin unique and distinctive. The rarity of such coins can drive their value up significantly, especially if they're graded highly by professional numismatists. So, let's get to the most exciting part: just how much could a 1996 Washington quarter be worth? While most of these coins are still worth their face value of 25 cents, a well-preserved, uncirculated version can be worth hundreds of dollars. However, for those of you with proof coins or those containing minting errors, your 1996 quarter could fetch a much higher price. And for the rarest of the rare, those near-perfect specimens or ones with significant errors, the value can soar into the tens of thousands. The 1996 Washington quarter could be worth as much as $70,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $70,000 for a single coin. That's the kind of value that some collectors are willing to pay for the perfect, rare example of this iconic US coin. Imagine finding one of these hidden gems in your coin collection or even in your pocket change.so. The next time you come across a 1996 Washington quarter, make sure to take a close look. Is it in perfect condition? Does it have any minting errors? Could it be one of those rare proof coins from the San Francisco Mint? You just might be holding on to a coin that's worth far more than you ever imagined. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that might seem like just another ordinary piece of currency, but in reality, it's a hidden gem that could be worth a small fortune, the United States Washington quarter from 1971. While most of us are familiar with the Washington quarter as a common coin, the 1971 version holds some interesting features and surprises that could make it much more valuable than you might think. Stick around until the end, and I'll reveal just how much this quarter could be worth today. Let's set the stage with a bit of historical context. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since its introduction in 1932. Initially, the coin was designed to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, and the obverse of the coin still features his famous portrait to this day. The reverse of the coin showcases an eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom. But when we specifically talk about the 1971 Washington quarter, we're looking at a year that falls right after some major changes in U.S. currency. The 1971 Washington quarter was part of a transition in U.S. coinage. You see, the U.S. Mint had just stopped producing silver quarters in 1964. After that, quarters began to be made primarily of copper and nickel, which was more cost-effective. The 1971 quarter, like its counterparts from the late 60s and early 70s, was struck using this new composition of copper and nickel, which contributed to its distinct look and feel. But what makes this coin stand out, and why is it so valuable? For most people, the 1971 Washington quarter would be just another quarter in their pocket, but when we zoom in on its rarity, condition, and potential minting errors, things get really interesting. First, let's talk about the mint marks. In 1971, the Washington quarter was minted in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced quarters with no mint mark, while Denver and San Francisco quarters had the letters D and S, respectively. These mint marks play a big role in the coin's value, as certain mint marks tend to be rarer than others. While the Philadelphia Mint produced a large number of these coins, Denver and San Francisco quarters are often seen as more valuable due to their lower mintage. The condition of the 1971 Washington quarter is a crucial factor when determining its worth. Most quarters from 1971 that were used in everyday transactions are worn and well used. They may have visible scratches, tarnishing, or general signs of wear that reduce their value. However, if you're lucky enough to find a 1971 quarter in excellent or near mint condition, you could have a much more valuable coin on your hands. Coins that have been preserved in uncirculated or near perfect condition are highly sought after by collectors, as they're much harder to come by. Speaking of rare finds, another factor that can greatly increase the value of the 1971 Washington quarter is the presence of minting errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, and these error coins can be incredibly valuable to collectors. For example, a double die error, where the coin's design is struck twice, creating a blurry or doubled image, can turn a relatively common coin into a rare treasure. Other minting errors that can increase the value include off-center strikes, die cracks, or incorrect planchet errors. If you happen to come across a 1971 quarter with any of these minting mistakes, you might be holding a coin that could fetch a much higher price than its face value. But here's where things get really exciting. The 1971 Washington quarter, in certain circumstances, has been known to fetch prices that may shock you. While most of these quarters are worth only their face value of 25 cents, the rarer specimens, those in excellent condition, those with minting errors, or those with unique characteristics, have been known to sell for thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. So, how much exactly could a 1971 Washington quarter be worth, if you happen to have one of these special, rare quarters, perhaps an uncirculated version from the San Francisco Mint or a coin with a unique minting error? It could be worth as much as $83,000. Yes, you heard that right, $83,000 for a single quarter. This is the kind of value that makes coin collecting so exciting, especially when you find a coin that could be sitting right in your collection, or even in your pocket change, waiting to be discovered. So, what should you do if you find a 1971 Washington quarter in your collection or among your spare change? First, carefully inspect the coin for any mint marks. If you have a mint mark from Denver or San Francisco, take a closer look at its condition. Is it in near-perfect shape, free of scratches, discoloration, or other signs of wear? If so, you may want to consider getting it professionally graded. A higher grade can dramatically increase the coin's market value. Additionally, keep an eye out for any minting errors. These can be tricky to spot, but with a keen eye, you might uncover a rare error coin worth thousands of dollars. The key takeaway here is that the 1971 Washington quarter isn't just another coin. It's a piece of U.S. history, and it could be worth much more than you ever imagined, especially if it's in good condition or has a rare minting error. So next time you're digging through your coin jar or going through your change, keep an eye out for this particular quarter. You just might have a rare and valuable coin on your hands. Today, we're about to uncover the hidden value of a coin that may have slipped under your radar, the United States Washington quarter dollar from 1979. At first glance, this may seem like just another run-of-the-mill quarter, but trust me, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. If you're a coin collector or just someone who loves the thrill of finding something valuable, this is one you'll definitely want to stick around for. By the end of this video, you'll be shocked at just how much this 1979 Washington quarter could be worth. Let's start with a little background on the Washington quarter itself. Introduced in 1932, the Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency for nearly a century. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, while the reverse showcases an eagle, symbolizing strength and freedom. However, by 1979, the coin had gone through some interesting transitions, both in terms of design and composition. This period was a time of change in the world of U.S. coinage, and the 1979 Washington quarter is part of this fascinating era. 1979 marked the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and the U.S. Mint celebrated the milestone by producing a series of coins with special designs and qualities. These were no ordinary quarters. They were made with a fresh perspective on the country's legacy and the role that Washington played in shaping the nation. But while many of these quarters were minted in large quantities, some key factors, such as the mint mark and the condition of the coin, could make the 1979 Washington quarter much more valuable than most would expect. Before we get into the details of what makes this quarter valuable, let's take a moment to understand the significance of the mint mark. Mint marks indicate where a coin was produced, and the 1979 Washington quarter was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from these different mints may have slight variations, and some mint marks are rarer than others. The mint mark on your coin plays an important role in determining its value. Generally speaking, coins with a mint mark from San Francisco or Denver tend to be more valuable than those minted in Philadelphia, simply due to the lower mintage numbers from these 2 facilities. So, what's the deal with the 1979 Washington quarter and why should collectors be paying attention to it? First, let's talk about the coin's rarity. Although millions of these coins were produced in 1979, not all of them survived in pristine condition. Coins that were circulated in everyday transactions tend to show signs of wear and damage, which means their value diminishes. However, if you happen to find a 1979 quarter in exceptional condition, one that has barely been handled and is free from any visible marks, scratches, or tarnishing, you could be holding something that's worth a lot more than its face value. Coin collectors are always on the lookout for well-preserved specimens because they're harder to find and, therefore, more valuable. If you come across a 1979 Washington quarter that's been preserved in near mint condition, it could be worth a lot more than just 25 cents. The value can skyrocket, especially if the coin has been graded highly by professional numismatists. Higher grades mean that the coin is in better shape, which makes it much more appealing to collectors who are looking for the best of the best. Now, let's talk about one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting: minting errors. If you're familiar with the world of rare coins, then you know that even the smallest mistakes during the minting process can result in a coin being worth thousands, if not tens of thousands, of dollars. Minting errors can range from double strikes to off-center coins to incorrectly stamped designs. These mistakes make the coin unique, and as a result, error coins are highly sought after in the collector's market. The 1979 Washington quarter is no exception. Over the years, a number of rare minting errors have been found among these quarters. These errors could include things like double dies or misaligned dies, where the images on the coin are off-center or show more than one impression of the design. Coins like these are much rarer than the standard 1979 quarter and can fetch significantly higher prices. For example, a 1979 quarter with a noticeable minting error could be worth several $1,000s, depending on the specific error and the condition of the coin. So, what could a 1979 Washington quarter be worth if it meets all the right criteria? If you happen to have one in near-perfect condition, especially if it was minted in San Francisco or Denver, you could see its value reach impressive heights. But the true jackpot comes when you discover a rare minting error on your coin. These error coins, especially those in excellent condition, have been known to sell for jaw-dropping amounts. In fact, if you find a pristine 1979 Washington quarter, or one with a rare minting error, you could be holding a coin that's worth as much as $85,000. Yes, that's right, $85,000 for a single quarter. Imagine finding a coin that's been sitting in your collection or lying around in your spare change for years, only to realize that it could be worth such an incredible sum. Coin collecting can be full of surprises, and sometimes, the most unexpected coins turn out to be the most valuable. So, what should you do if you come across a 1979 Washington quarter? First, check the mint mark and the condition of the coin. Is it in pristine shape? Does it have any unusual characteristics or signs of a minting error? If so, you may want to have it professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service. This step can help determine its true value and ensure that you're getting the most accurate assessment of its worth. Remember, the value of a coin is determined by a combination of factors, including its rarity, condition, and any unique features it may have. The 1979 Washington quarter, with its historical significance and potential for minting errors, is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can hold extraordinary value. So, next time you're going through your collection or checking your spare change, take a closer look at those 1979 quarters. You never know what you might find. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new discovery. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting. Who knows, you might be holding an $85,000 quarter in your hand right now.